All right, here we are, folks, for another session of Off the Grid. I wanted to welcome West Coast producer Dom Brady. What's going on, brother? How are you
What's
today?
going on, man? Doing good, doing good.
Yeah, good. Hey, man, it's finally good to connect and get you on this. So I appreciate you making time out of your long weekend to do this. But
hmm
real quick, man, hey, let's start with just a quick introduction of yourself. Tell us where you were born, where exactly in California you call home, and how long you've been making music.
Yeah, man. I'm name is Dominic Agatep. And I'm professionally known as Dom Brady. That's the producer name that was uh given to me by folks from One Voice, the R&B female group.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, wait, are you serious?
yeah,
Crazy.
yeah. I produced their 2001 album, and in the process, when we were mixing and mastering it, and we were watching Tom Brady's last Super Bowl against against the Chiefs, and
Yeah.
someone said, you're kind of like the quarterback of this project, and then I think it
Oh.
was Marie or Monica from One Voice, just like you're Dom Brady, and it kind of just stuck. So yeah, that's how
Oh,
it became the name.
I get the play on words too. I had no idea the association between the two. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah, so it just kind of stuck with me.
Yeah.
I was born in Quezon City in the Philippines, and we
Oh, wow.
came here to the U.S. when I was 4. And ever
Okay.
since then, I've been kind of like living around the Bay Area, in San Francisco Bay Area.
Yeah.
Currently, I live in San Ramon, which is about 30 miles east of San Francisco, kind of more in the valley area. And I've been doing music since pretty much since high school. I was really in kind of into music since then. Doing a
Oh,
lot of what got me into like production is kind of like doing the Spirit Week skits. At that time, like I had a friend that had his big brother was in a like a R&B group, and they had a recording studio. It was my first time like really getting into studios and just working on skits there, and really liked the process. And
okay.
then my older cousin was in a DJ group, so that kind of sparked me listening to different types of music.
Well,
After high school,
that's
yeah.
that's wild to me, dude. So,
hmm
I mean, it gave you the name on the fly in 2001. What name were you using before Don Brady?
It was just Dom. just
Oh,
it's
no.
just straight Dom. Yeah, yeah. I can't.
Uh,
I don't know if I had a name. I can't recall if I had like a rap name or anything like that. Because I used to be a rapper actually in a hip hop band.
oh,
We were
crazy.
called um, Urban Icons, and then we merged with kind of like a jazz, progressive jazz
Okay.
musicians. So we called ourselves
Yeah.
Urban Dynamic, and we used to perform around the Bay Area and a lot of like bars and clubs and things like that. So we were doing like hip
Yeah.
hop, reggae, progressive jazz, and I was one of the MCs there. And yeah,
That's
and
crazy.
yeah.
Hey, so so you mentioned that you were doing kind of like hip hop jazzy stuff. Who were your influences? Did you like Guru Jazzmatazz, or what
Yeah.
motivated you to start rapping at first? Who were your major influences?
Really it's like Nas, um,
Nice.
yeah, Wu-Tang. I like the Beatles too because my dad really listened to the Beatles.
Yeah.
The Bee Gees. I like Smashing Pumpkins, and there was a time where I was like really into like 50s music. I
Oh,
was
sick.
watching, I watched the movie It, the original It, and then the soundtrack from It, because it kind of like they showed the part when they were kids. They played a lot of like 50s soundtrack,
Oh.
and I was like, oh, this is pretty dope.
Well, here's the wild thing too is that
Yeah.
as I listen to all your newer stuff too, like you
hmm
really have a grasp on the West Coast sound. So were you influenced at all by the West Coast rap scene? I mean, we got like
Yeah.
guys like Fort Mac Mall, and so that style of rap have an influence on you, maybe as a rapper or during your producer
Not so
time?
much as a rapper, but musically, for as far as rapping, like I said, Nas and Wu Tang, because I really like their style. And at the
Okay.
time, like the East Coast and West Coast, like rap styles were very different. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and I gravitated more towards the East Coast style of rapping at that time, the
Okay.
late 90s and early 2000s. But as far as like the
Yeah.
music, my favorite albums, Dr. Dre, Chronic, and 2000.
Yeah.
I really
Okay.
liked NWA, Straight Outta Compton, and the very first like cassette tape I bought at a flea market was Easy E, Easy Does It.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and so that's where the West Coast stuff comes from.
Okay.
And of course, I like Illmatic as far as my favorite albums: Wu Tang, 36 Chambers,
Yeah.
Mob Deep, The Infamous. And then other favorites are R&B stuff like Babyface, A Closer Look, After Seven, 2020, the Revival. Those
Oh
are
my gosh.
yeah. So those are kind of like my albums that I really liked, and I could remember me listening to when I was a kid.
Well, hey Mo, what was the decision point on when you transitioned from MC to producer? Was it kind of a clean cut that, hey, I'm not gonna rap anymore and I want to try producing, or was it that you did that out of necessity?
It was kind of like to a point where I don't know. It was weird. Like where back then when I was younger and I was like carefree and very what do you call it? Ideological, or when you had a lot of ideas. If you were like
Yeah.
um, you know, protesting and all that shit. Like you have a lot of ideas.
Yeah.
For some reason, when I got older, I got to the career in my career, and just I felt like I didn't have anything interesting to say.
Oh, okay.
It's like what am I gonna rap about? And like if I did, like people would they even be interested? So it was kind of like a weird, like internal kind of feeling. Like I don't think I have anything good to say. So I
Oh
stopped
man.
rapping and then just focused on music.
Nice, man. And so with that, any producers in particular that motivated you to try it?
Yeah, Jay Dilla, DJ
Yep.
Battlecat, Dr. Dre, The Alchemist, Pharrell, Chad. Um, those are the ones that and group. What's the name? DJ Premier. Um,
Yeah.
those are the main ones. Like Teddy Riley, Jermaine Dupri.
Oh,
So those
yeah.
the yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned Chet from the Neptunes too, man. I fucking love that crew, man. So,
Yeah, he's kind of like one of my idols. Not only because he's a dope producer, but he's Filipino. It's kind of
yeah,
like a
yeah, for sure.
representing.
Oh,
Illmind too. I really
oh,
like Illmind, and
yeah, he's doing it too, man.
I recently, actually, a lot of my musical connections currently is kind of stemming from him. Um,
Oh,
yeah, because I joined. He's his NFT community called Squatter Nights, where
okay.
it's a um, kind of like a collection of creatives. His vision was, the hardest thing as a producer, him coming up, through the early 2000s and late 2000s, is
Yeah,
it was hard to connect with other producers and artists and things like that. The hardest thing was networking. We didn't
yeah.
have the access that we have now. So his vision was with the NFTs is, and you get into the NFT community for Squad of Nights with the like-minded creatives, and then if you have that NFT,
Sick.
you have access to him and anybody else who has that NFT. And there's a lot of
Via
like people
chat
that
or
no, I'm talking Illmind.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, is that via like a chat room or like does he do a
Oh,
session? Ask questions.
yeah, like through what do you call this? The metaverse.
That's crazy. So
Yeah, so we
cool.
would go in as and I forgot the platform, but like it's kind of like VR. You're like an avatar, and then we meet and then talk, and then we met
Woo.
in we flew to in person in Miami, and I met a lot of the Squatter Knights there. And since then, I've been
Wow.
making a lot of music with the artists, a lot of people from the East Coast that I've never ever would have met. Um,
Yeah.
but I connected through that community, the NFT community, Squatter Nights, and we still
Oh my god.
work and rep, and
That is
yeah.
dope. Whoa, man. Well, hey, man, that's awesome, man. And I love
Hmm.
just the line of folks that you mentioned on who motivated you, man. And
Hmm.
so with that, hey, you were motivated to start producing music. And so, what were kind of the early systems that you were using when you were making beats? I imagine it wasn't like top of the line at first, right?
Yeah. I started off on my computer. I think I was using Cakewalk at the time.
Oh yeah, yeah, I remember Cakewalk.
Yeah, and then this thing, it was called Fruity Loops came, and it was just like a weird way
Yeah.
to make beats. I think it's called FL Studio now. A lot of the
Okay.
newer producers use it. I mean, I think it's a pretty dope DAW, but at the time it was like interesting way to produce music. It was like programming, instead of playing it on a keyboard or pads, you're like using a mouse and drawing shit in. And I was like, oh, this is kind of crazy. Um, but
Okay.
yeah, and then I had an MPC 2000. So that was kind of like my main piece that I was using, the MPC 2000. I had a Korg Trinity and then a 4-track recorder, and that's kind of where that's everything that I had at the time. And
Was that in like high school
1200s.
time? High school
Yeah,
or
a little bit after high school. Yeah, like when
okay.
I could actually buy shit. um,
Okay, I was about to
but
say, I don't know if that's like something Filipino parents would buy, man.
oh
right,
hell no.
right off the bat,
But
dude.
actually, you know what? My dad actually bought me my first 4-track. He went to
Whoa.
Guitar Center, put it on his Guitar Center credit card, and it was like, yeah, it was the Roland VS 840. It was like the first digital 4-track that
Oh
used like
shoot.
remember those I don't know what it's not a floppy, but it was like a zip drive, I think it's what it's called, or
Zip
some
drive,
shit like
yep.
that. Yeah, yeah. So it had one of those, but it was like 40 megs or something hella small.
Yo,
Yeah,
shout out to your dad, man, for doing that, man. I
I
know
know, I
sometimes
know.
it's quite a feat trying to get them to buy turntables and stuff when they're young. They got other ideas on what you want to become when you're older. So that's
Yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah. It was great.
Hey, well, so now, so are you messing with like Pro Tools and stuff now? And I noticed like every time I see your videos, you get all this complex equipment now. So it's a new game for you, I
Yeah,
imagine.
nothing really complex. It took me a while and a lot of money to really kind of figure out what um really works out for me. And then
Yeah,
from there I narrowed it down and like sold off a lot of things. So I'm currently using I still use the MPCs, but the more modern ones.
yeah,
But my main workflow is like to sketch the beat out on Ableton Live.
yeah,
um and then it's the closest thing to me, at least, that's an MPC, even more so than the MPC software. um and then I have if you can see here, like the Moog Sub 37
yeah.
is my
Nice.
analog synth. And then once I have a song and I get it's time to arrange it and mix it, I go to Pro Tools. And then I
Okay.
usually, and for the most part, I'm inside the box, meaning just like the plugins and all that stuff. And then my
Yeah,
only outboard gear that I run things through is a Neve Orbit 5057 summing mixer, and then an SSL bus compressor,
yeah,
bus compressor, just to kind of give it back. I really like that analog warmth and punch and
yeah,
weight. So
yeah, yeah.
I run my digital stuff through it and back in to kind of give it that weight.
Yeah, and when I listen to all your stuff, you don't do you sample or not? I think I feel like you play like everything, man, like straight. Or do you still use an
My
element of sampling?
Yeah, early stuff I sampled,
Okay.
but for the most part, um, I try to play it, and then I
Okay.
also work with musicians, so actual
Yeah.
players. So I get them on, like, I'll kind of program and play it myself, since I'm not like
Okay.
a true player. I get my musician homies to like fill those in.
Nice, man. Yeah,
Hmm.
really cool, man. I really dig your sound a lot, man.
Thank
And
you.
so that you mentioned that you did produce it, I mean, all the way back to 2001. But you mentioned to me when we were talking offline that you took a break, right? So what fueled that break, man? Was it just family stuff, or
Yeah,
what?
I mean, honestly, it wasn't intended to be a break. It was intended to like just stop, to quit.
Oh,
Um,
just to
yeah,
quit.
yeah, and then yeah, so in the early 2000s, it's kind of like I really didn't know how to put my music out there and turn it
Yeah.
into anything. I didn't know how to release none of that. So I was just really making beats, recording stuff, and then passing it around to my friends and families to like listen to. And I didn't know how to monetize or anything.
Yeah.
So I got into my career and started a family, and it was just that, just because of life, and just didn't have the
Yeah.
access and connections at that time.
What year was that?
I would say the last time made anything legit was probably 2006. And then I would still do music here and there, kind of mess around until 2010. And then I stopped from 2000, like a hard stop, nothing else. Like I sold off all my
Oh,
gear, nothing. I didn't have anything, not even like a DAW other than what was free on the Apple computer, like GarageBand and shit like that.
crazy.
Yeah. And then I didn't start back up until 2020.
And what was the motivation behind that? Like, what made you go pick up
Yeah.
something, make a beat?
Like I'm like, me and my family went through a really difficult situation in 2020. My firstborn daughter, her name is Sammy. She On her 8th birthday, we were at Disneyland celebrating her birthday, and she just started feeling weird, like wasn't into it, kind of dizzy and stuff like that. We 2 days into our Disneyland trip, we decided to take her to the Kaiser and near Disneyland, and they found a tumor in her brain.
Oh
And
man.
since then, it's been kind of like a crazy ride. They rushed her to the Kaiser in Hollywood, and they did an emergency brain surgery. So we were in we like from our Disneyland trip, didn't come home for a whole full month. We lived in that Kaiser until she was okay to travel back home. And so they diagnosed her with a brain cancer, called medulloblastoma. Um, and since then, it's been, cancer treatment and things like that. So a lot of time in the hospital. Since
Yeah.
I had another younger daughter, my wife stayed home, and a lot of times I would do the overnighters with her at the hospitals. So it was a lot of sleepless nights at the hospital, and just being in a dark place and depression. So I was watching a lot of YouTube videos,
Yeah.
and just, for some reason on my feed, I saw Jake One,
Yeah.
his making the beach stuff, and that really he lives in Seattle, and at the time we were doing my daughter's we were living at the what do you call that, Ronald McDonald House,
Oh, the rum.
in
Yep.
near the Children's Hospital in Seattle, because of her, like the treatment that they had was specialized in that area. And so
Okay.
we lived there for a little bit. And so I was just watching him make beats, and then I was catching Illmind, his Twitch streams of him making beats live, on Twitch, streaming it. Um, and I was like, got back in. I just started messing around with GarageBand, Unlogic, and
Yeah.
then I started picking it back up, and then um, it wasn't anything serious. And then during the COVID lockdown, I think a lot of like people were just wanted to reconnect with a lot of folks because they were stuck, right? And
Yeah.
then Anne Marie from One Voice, who I knew back like
Sure.
20 years ago. Like I met her just once, and she recorded in
Yeah.
my home studio once with a friend, and I've never talked to her since then. She like
Yeah.
reached out to me and saying like, "Yo, like, are you still working on music? Like, you want to like just reconnect?" And then we just started making music and passing it back and forth.
Okay.
And then she took some of my old beats and then she wrote to it. The first song was called damn, it's been What If. Oh yeah, What If. It was kind of like um hitting the
As a
points
solo
of,
track or with the
no, it
group?
was well, the funny thing is we weren't even thinking about making a one voice album. It was just like, let's just collab and let's release things. And then we
Yeah.
made six songs, like
Yeah.
just rough demos. And then she played it for One Voice, her group, and they're like,
Yeah.
dude, let's make an album. And then
That's
yeah,
awesome.
and then it was just from there we just like made a album. It was really good album. Kind of like, I feel like it was rough because it was, as far as just the sonic quality, because
Yeah.
I was kind of just getting back into it, right? um
Okay.
but it was a dope album, and kind of helped kind of springboard me to what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's wild, man. Well, apologies
Mhm.
for why it led into that, but I hope everything's all good with your child now. And yeah,
Yeah, I mean, she's doing quite well. She's a middle schooler now. She's living a
fantastic, man.
relatively normal life. She's happy with her sisters, and if you
Good.
saw her, you wouldn't even be able to tell that she went to that.
I
We
love it.
know it's a lifelong kind of thing, though.
Yeah,
There's always kind of like um, collateral damage from the treatments and all that stuff.
yeah.
But we're just happy, just thankful where we're at
I
right
love
now.
it, man. I love it, man. Family still as one. So
Mm,
awesome for that. And then that's awesome how it just you slowly crept back into it. And I always feel like music finds a way to bring you back. I took a long break too
mm,
as well, and so I know like I had no intention of coming back, and then an invite to a song was like reminded me how much I love doing music. So I feel you, man.
mhm.
And with that, man, hey man, you took a hiatus, and dude, you have just hit the music scene back just so hard, man. So you had a ridiculous just amount of showing in 2023 and 2022, and even more so now, man. And so I just kind of handpicked some singles I wanted to talk to you about
Sure.
that showcases your work. You started the year with the release of the Space Rocket track that featured Nora from Kin for Life and KRS-One. And whew, what a way to start 2024, man.
Yeah.
Holy cow, man. That song was amazing, man, and it's getting a lot
Thank
of
you.
traction, a lot of play. And so what's the story behind that song, man? Holy cow, Nora's
Yeah.
freaking amazing, man.
Yeah. She's a beast, man, and then just I just recently connected with her. That was actually the first time I've only been connected with her like a week before that. We worked on that song, and it was all through Instagram.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, she was following Tommy Danger, who's from
Yeah, did a
Squad
bunch
of
of
Nights as
music with.
well. I did a few releases with him, and she was following him because she's from New York. He's from Harlem,
Okay.
and I just saw her like posting on his stuff, and then made me look at her page, and I was like, oh, she's a beast. I gotta like find a way for like
Amazing.
to connect with her. And then I did a beat. The Space Rocket beat wasn't even really meant for that song. It was just like I was just making a beat, and then um, I had a I was sitting on a KRS-One feature that had that I didn't have anything
Wow.
for. And
Yeah.
then I was like, "Fuck, maybe this will go with this beat." And I put it together. I was like, "Oh shit, this sounds pretty pretty dope."
God.
And then so I sent it to
Phenomenal.
her. I like reached out to her and said, "Yo, like, I see you're following Tommy Danger. I really like your stuff. How would you like to collab?" And I sent her a disco link of the beat with KRS-One on it, and she was like, "Fuck, let's do it." And then the rest is
Yeah.
history.
Ferocious, man. She's amazing, man. So I really love that song, and I love how you
Thank you.
started 2024 with some fireworks, man. So really dope, dope with that.
Hmm.
With that, just handpick some other folks that you work with. So you already mentioned it earlier in their interview was your connection with One Voice. You produced an album, so I really dug the Trapeze song and the Cherry song that you guys did with them. And so
Hmm.
that's another group, man. Dude, who isn't a One Voice fan if you're not from the Bay Area, man? And man,
Yeah.
I was really big into that high energy scene, and I was really cheering for all the Filipino groups, man. One Voice, Premier, and Kai,
Hmm.
and Drop in Harmony. So that's really awesome that you got to work with them, man. Oh man, their first two albums I know was on my playlist at all times, man. So how was that connection made? Just yeah, just early in your career during high school. You knew them in high school, or just
I didn't know them. I knew Anne-Marie. Um,
okay?
uh, she was friends, and it was kind of like a secondhand connection too, or
Oh,
I don't,
okay.
whatever you call that. But she was friends with my homie or bandmate, Shawnee Bo, and
Okay.
he like rolled through my house. And a funny story, I always bring it up when I talk to her, is like it
Yeah.
was 20 about over 20 years ago. They showed up in my home studio Fucking had a bucket of like Popeye's chicken, and and then we just started to like collab, and we made one song, and then that's the last time I've talked to her. And she kind of just
Yeah,
reached out to Shawnee Bo during COVID,
yeah.
and she realized that he's still connected with me, and so she reached out, and we've been like, I kind of call her like my one of my productions partners, because we're always like, she produces too, and she's pretty dope.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, I
Um
had no clue, man. Hey, well, I
so
was happy to see that connection, man. That's really dope, man.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. You guys make some good music, and man,
Thank
it
you.
was really cheering for them back in the day too. So I'm always happy to see people still doing music. So shout out to them and you
Hmm.
guys for making some dope music, man.
Thank you.
Woo! Yeah, yeah, killing it, man. And so you continue to do it and put out awesome music. And just a couple more ones that I wanted to highlight with the work that you've been doing. You've been
Hmm.
working with folks like Tommy Danger, who you mentioned, Dre Carter, who you did No
Hmm.
Smoke with, and you did the song with Twista, and the song with Bootsy Collins, Nubs. Oh my gosh, man! And West Coast Stone, just hit
Yeah.
after hit in 2023, man. You took a break and you're taking no names now, man. So man, you're just on a rush, man. So you're feeling it now, right? You're in a good pace.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like I kind of have a workflow now, and it's kind of the only issue I have is time. Like I don't
Yeah,
really have a lot of
sure.
time. This isn't my full-time job.
Yeah.
I work for a tech company in Silicon Valley, which is like, and
Oh
then
my God.
I'm a full-time dad of three young girls, right? So the only
Woo.
time I really have time to do music is from 4 in the morning till 8 in the morning, or even
Yeah.
or probably till 6 in the morning when they wake up during the weekdays. But in the weekends, I'll work on music until like 8 or 9 in the morning. Um,
Yeah. I'm the same way. I feel you.
but yeah, so that's the struggle, is finding the time. Um, but yeah, it's I just try to, for me, is like just pushing up music as much as possible, not worrying about if it's perfect or not, or if people are going to feel it or not. It's just, do I like it? Is it good enough for
Yeah.
me? And then that's when I'm
Sure.
ready to put it out.
Yeah, yeah, and so I know we're quite limited with time, but again, I wanted to highlight all those people you worked with, and you had a song that was placed on a video game, which is also
Mm.
like, whoa, took a break, and then hey, my song's on a video game. It's crazy, man. Just success after success, and then again, I just wanted to call out Veritech, Becky, and some other folks that you're working with. So just everything that you've been doing, man, I've been really enjoying. And then I love all the videos that you've been posting. And so
Thank you.
it's been amazing following your career, man. And so I learned about you through a mutual friend, Midi Chlorian, who makes the cartoon videos, right? And he's freaking
Yeah.
awesome too. I was like, man,
Yeah,
who is
he's
this
a
guy, man?
beast. He's a beast.
Yeah.
And
And so, yeah,
yeah, and then I only connected through him on Instagram, because
yeah,
I was actually following Milo the cat, and
that's
then
right.
he started showing up on my feed, and I was like, man, this guy's dope. So I just reached out, and I was like, hey, how much does it cost to like do a video? And then and we've been really you know connected since then.
Yeah, yeah, he's a dope producer too. And so, and then after I heard your
Hmm.
stuff, I was like, dude, hey, hook me up with Dom, dude. I was like, I need to get with this dude. And that's how like I ended up reaching out to you, man, through him.
Yeah,
So yeah, yeah. And then
yeah,
just it was even bigger than I imagined, man. Just all the dope stuff that you do. So that's awesome, man. I love that network that the internet creates, man.
yeah. It's
So
crazy how you can just reach
yeah.
out, and then yeah.
Yeah. Oh man, so with that, I'm excited to continue to follow your stuff in 2024 and just see what you got cooking. But yeah, these days, man, with work, family, and then I'm sure you battle a
Mhm.
commute driving to Silicon Valley. But what motivates you to continue doing music? How do you find your inspiration?
It's my kids. Like
Yeah,
the situation I went through with my daughter is kind of like, you anything can happen in life, and you just got to appreciate the gifts that you've been given, and you got to maximize it. um it was something that I loved and had passion for back in the days,
yeah,
and just going through that made me realize everything again, and I wanted to not waste that, and also put a legacy for myself. When I'm gone, I want my kids and their kids and stuff
Yeah.
to just be able to kind of l- know who I am through my music, not just
Yeah.
pictures. So that's really what motivates me, because
That's
a lot of
awesome.
times my kids are just like, oh, that's cool. You know, it's not like
Yeah. Yeah.
they're not like super into it, and even my wife's not even super into it. But like, you know, it's kind of cool to like play it in front of them, and then
Yeah.
eventually, if they decide to that's something they want to do, then you know they have
Yes.
a teacher. But that's
Yeah.
just really it.
Hey, that's awesome, man. Well, I love what you're doing, and I know that as
Thank
they
you.
get older, dad will become really cool once they figure out what you're doing, man.
For real, so
Yeah.
they're into like K-pop, and then you know
Yeah.
I did a couple of one-on-one sessions with Lo-Fi, who produced one of the BTS songs, and then after that
Oh,
they were like,
man.
oh shit, they kind of like took notice a little bit.
All right, it might be time to branch out and do another genre for a little bit. How fun though, man. I love Blackpink and man, I love that movement too. So yeah, super cool, man.
Hmm.
Well, good
Hmm.
man. It was an honor to get into the inside baseball in terms of like your career and how you got back into your musical journey. And so as we wrap this
Yeah,
thing up, man, I want to go into my segment that I do when I talk to Filipino MCs or producers. It's called "What Kind of Filipino Are You?" And I purposely did send you these questions so I can catch you on the fly. Are you ready to close this thing out with a couple of fun questions?
let's go.
All right, man. Hey, so every Filipino, man, you got your real name and you got your family nickname, right? I know it's not Dominique. What's your family nickname?
It's Nikki.
How's it really? And
Yeah,
what's the tie? Is it random like mine or is it
it's Dominic, and then they were just like
oh,
Nikki. Yeah, they used to call me Nikki Boy or Nikki. Like
see
yeah,
there you go. That's the
yeah,
name I'm looking for, Nicky Boy, man.
yeah. You got to put the boy, but yeah, it's mostly Nikki. But like yeah, yeah.
Is it still alive? Is that name still
Yeah,
is that
yeah. My sister
yeah.
calls still calls me Nikki. My brother calls me Nick. You know, it's just like yeah, still there.
Okay. Awesome. That's perfect, man. All right,
Yeah.
man. If you had a choice, Filipino spaghetti or Italian style spaghetti?
Oh man, honestly, Italian style spaghetti, like the
Oh, okay. All
yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah.
All right.
The really red hot dogs freak me out, man.
Not the sweet sauce. Are you into the sweet banana ketchup or not really?
It depends with what.
Okay.
It depends with what. Yeah, yeah.
Fair enough. Red hot dogs always a good morning, man. Okay. All right. All right. Let's learn a little bit more about you. Favorite Filipino food?
Oh man, the beef sinigang, the kare
Ooh.
kare. I think those are the ones that I really really like. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. All right. Hey, pick one between spam and corned beef. Which is the better of the two? You got to justify it though.
I think it has to be spam because my kids love the shit out of spam. Um, and spam, I think, has a little bit more like longevity throughout the day. Like you can cook it and still eat it later on. Whereas
So not
corned
really.
beef like turns into this like white, like waxy thing.
Oh
But
man.
they both
Okay.
taste fucking delicious. So as far as taste, they're both the same. Spam because my kids love it, and longer longevity than corned beef through the day.
Oh, that's the first time I've heard that about corned beef. That's gonna make the promo reel, man. I love it. No. Okay,
Yeah.
man. For anybody visiting the Bay Area, where is the best place to get Filipino food?
Oh man, Daly City,
Oh,
like that San Bruno Daly City area, man.
good answer,
Delicious.
dude.
Yeah, yeah. That anytime someone hits me up from like not from the Bay Area and they go like, "Yo, where to go?" Then I tell them just that that Gellert Boulevard area over there, it's El Camino. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, what's the casino too in that area?
Oh, Lucky Chances, I think is what it's
Lucky
called.
Chances,
Yeah,
dude.
man.
Oh, the silogs there are freaking amazing, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Like late at night after you come from City Nights or something from the club.
City
Uh,
nights.
you
Is
stop
that
by.
still around? I don't think that's around
Ah,
anymore.
I wouldn't be surprised if they did a reboot of it, and then the
Okay.
the newer generation flips are in there.
Oh man,
Yeah,
holy cow! Lucky
yeah,
Chances. I forgot about
yeah.
that. That was man. Hey, and with the song getting placed on the NBA game, are you a basketball fan or no?
hmm Yeah, yeah. I'm more
Yeah,
of
heart.
football. I like football more than basketball, but
Okay.
yeah, Warriors, of course. But I grew up a Michael Jordan fan, so like the Bulls, I was like so into the Bulls back then. Yeah,
Okay. All right.
yeah.
Here's my final Pinoy question for you, man. So, being a Golden State Warriors fan, man, it's awesome to see that we've got some Filipinos too on NBA teams, right? Jalen Green, and I can't remember the other
Jordan,
dude's name
was it
this
Jordan?
time.
Not Jordan Poole, but the other guy. Yeah, I know who you're talking
Uh,
about. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, that's right. So we got
Mm,
two, right? Half
mm,
Filipinos, man.
hmm
So if your Golden State Warriors were playing against those guys who are half Filipino on a different team, who do you cheer for?
Oh man, it has to be. I mean, the Golden State Warriors, man.
Yeah, good
Yeah,
answer.
man. I mean,
Loyalty.
you can like people
Yeah,
individually, but you gotta like your
yeah.
team. Yeah.
Loyal to your team. You're a good man. Hey, that was that
Mm,
was great run of answers. I appreciate it, man. So hey,
yeah,
that
for
that
sure.
was man. As we wrap this thing up, are there any special projects that you want to talk about before we
Yeah, I
go?
mean, the one that I'm doing with you, it's gonna be pretty dope. Like that's actually it's funny. Like, it's on the deck, right? Like
Yeah, yeah,
we got a good base for it right now, but the second phase of like editing and all that stuff, it's in process. It's
yeah.
gonna start this week.
Woo!
That
I'm
is
excited.
I'm excited for that one because of the feature that we have on there too.
Oh,
Um, and a few more things with Norkin for Life. Um, Drake Carter and I have I think three more songs that it's in the works, and one of them is a pretty big feature, like
oh
a
God.
legend feature. Um, and then
I, I'm not sure what
I'm
gets higher than KRS One, but
oh
I'll wait. I'm surprised, dude.
it's higher than him. Yeah, I mean
Oh my gosh, dude.
as far as being known. And then kind of like a bucket list project I'm working on. Um, it's like a EP, 6-song EP of my beats
Okay.
that I'm trying to release. But then each beat is gonna have a a pretty dope feature on each one, separate one.
Thank you again. It was an amazing time to get to know you and again to go deep into your music. And so, for folks that are listening and want to hear more from Don Brady, what is the best place or where is the best place for them to find your music at? Where do you want them going to?
Spotify, Spotify, Dom Brady. Just look up Dom underscore Brady,
Yep.
and you'll see my songs that my name's attached to, or a playlist that has all the songs that I produced, which is like 3 times more than that you'll see in the Don Brady like profile. Or just follow me on Instagram at Don Brady 639, and yeah.
Awesome, man. So, with that, before we close this amazing interview, anybody you want to shout out before we shut it down?
Yeah, just a shout out to my family and the artists that I'm working with right now, like Drake Carter, Tommy Danger, Anne Marie, you, yeah, Norkin for life, man. Just those folks.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, thank you again. It's been an honor to get to chat with you, and I'm so excited to share your story, man. When we get out, you're an amazing producer,
Thank you,
very inspirational, and again,
thank you,
I'm excited to work with you, and I can't wait for all your future releases. If 2023 and 2022, all the stuff that you released was in just a piece of what you're going to be doing in 2024, man, I am scared, and I'm excited to see what you drop in 2024, man. Super
thank
awesome.
you. Excited.
All
Thank
right.
you.